is up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'll be sharing some of my impressions of using the Insta360 Go 3S for the past couple of weeks. Now this video is mostly about my personal feelings and impressions of using the camera. It's not exactly a review stating everything there is to know about the camera and comparing it to the previous camera, which is the Go 3. For that you can of course always browse other YouTube videos. I mostly want to share how I personally fit this camera in my workflow, what I think is the best use case for it, and how it can enhance your workflow if you really want to use something like this in your videos as well. First off, this video is not sponsored by Insta360. If my videos are not labeled as sponsored, they never are. Insta360 did send me this product for free, however, but they don't have any say in what I'm going to say in this video, and they are not going to see the video before I post it here on YouTube. So just throwing this out there, as I know many people are really curious about that specific topic. But with that being said, let's focus on the Go 3S. So when I first heard about the Go 3S, the first thought that I had in my head was, is it going to be any better in terms of image quality? Because the Go 3 was okay, especially having in mind that this is such a tiny camera. However, it always lacked something, especially when we compare it to regular action cameras, which of course are a lot bigger than that, but still the 2.7K was not enough for me to really use it a little bit more frequently. So now this Go 3S shoots 4K, and I can definitely say that I can see a big leap in terms of the image quality. This is now not a compromised type of camera anymore. It is a very portable, also very capable camera that doesn't really have that many negative things to say about. So for me personally, the biggest use case that I found for this camera is three main things. First, using it as a BTS camera, something that I love to incorporate a little bit more on my channel, and for that, not every time I can get an additional person that can shoot and showcase what I'm doing behind the scenes. Sometimes it needs to be me, and for that to happen, I need to mount this somewhere close by where I can monitor what's going on and still capture the things that I'm doing to show them to you as a behind the scenes footage. For this camera is absolutely flawless, and that's mostly because of the different mounting capabilities that you have. So similarly to the Go 3, you have so many different accessories that you can use to mount this and use it in a very creative way, however you want. But for me, the main accessories that I use are these ones, the ones that actually come with the camera. They are simple but work best in my personal experience. So first we have this cap attachment. So this thing attaches to your hat or to your cap, and this is probably one of my favorite mounts. First, because I almost always wear a hat, so this is extremely handy to have at all times with me, so I can always attach it to my head. And then second, this is a very natural angle for your camera, so when you put it on your cap, it is almost as close to your eyes as possible. So it is a very natural camera angle that you can use, as opposed to some other ones which are a little bit less natural and a little bit more distracting when you use them for your videos. Now for some POV shots, this magnet pendant is also a great option. Now I noticed that these magnets on these all of the new attachments that we have are a lot stronger than the ones that we had before, so it's almost impossible for this to fall. So when you put it like this, and of course you can tuck this under your shirt, but when you put it like this, this camera is not going anywhere, and it's just up to you to adjust the length of this magnet pendant, so it can be a little bit closer up on your chest or a little bit down next to your stomach. So it's really up to you how you want to capture your footage and what angle you want to really use. And third is this attachment, which I'm not really sure how it's called, the pivot stand. That's right. This is the pivot stand, which is great because not only you can mount it on a tripod, you have a 1/4 inch screw here on the bottom, but also you have this magnetic side on top, which you can use to not only attach the case with the screen on top and use it like this for a very tiny vlogging setup, for example, but also if you remove that, you can attach the camera itself. And that makes it extremely easy to be used in different ways as well. You can pivot this and change the angle, change the way this camera sits, and you have a lot of mounting possibilities, a lot of different angles, and I can create a video about the most creative ways to use the camera if you're interested in that. So make sure you drop a comment below if you want to see a video like this. I'll be happy to make one. But for the most part, I am using this camera in a very, very simple way. I attach it to my head and I forget about it, which is one of the best things about this camera. You can set it and forget it and use it for longer periods of time to have this behind the scene type of shot without even thinking about it. And the camera is doing a great job at navigating through different light conditions, adjusting the exposure, focusing on different faces. For example, you can set it to focus on a specific face or on a specific object. And the white balance, the colors, everything is great straight out of the camera. The colors have been definitely a lot improved compared to previous iterations of these small cameras, especially compared to the Go 2 and the Go 3. Now the colors are a lot more vibrant, a lot more punchy, but not oversaturated. The footage is not super sharp coming straight out of the camera. Remember to lower the sharpness if you have one of these and you want to get the best footage possible. Just lower the sharpness and you can use the standard color profile. There's no need to really get into the whole color grading aspect with the camera like this, because the sensor size is not as big as other cameras. So there's really no point of capturing footage in the flat color profile, at least in my opinion. You know, I always prefer to color grade my footage, but with this camera I prefer to actually leave it to standard color profile so I can get my footage straight out of the camera. I think it's very, very usable and I don't really miss anything out of it. Now the next use case that I have for this camera is a little bit more personal, and that is to capture family moments and little trips, capturing some precious moments with my daughter, which I have been doing a lot. And actually something that is really interesting is the fact that my daughter, she's 2, she really loves this camera as it's so tiny and very accessible for her. She can see herself on the screen. She really wants to use it and, you know, take some photos or videos in a playful manner. Of course, she still doesn't really know what she's doing. I will teach her a little bit later, but for now she's actually really enjoying just playing with the camera and seeing herself on the screen, capturing some photos and videos without even thinking about it, and I'm laughing at the results, so it's always a fun and good time.
Hello.
But it's also one of the most you know, playful cameras that I have, and I feel very comfortable giving it to my daughter, so it's not something that I'm bothered about. So that might be interesting, an interesting way to you know, to look at this camera as a way of playing with your kid and capturing some precious moments together. Now, of course, I'm not going to share those on YouTube because they're personal, but trust me, I've captured a lot of good and funny things with this camera, with my daughter and with my whole family, which is again another aspect of why I love using this camera so much. And the final use case I have for the Go 3S is to use it on an FPV drone. Now, I don't have the perfect example on a drone that you can use this camera with. Of course, you can use it with a big drone like this. This is a 6-inch FPV drone. It's not really ideal, as you know, a 6-inch drone can easily carry an action camera. So it's not really about the weight or the size. It's just a fun way to explore what this camera can do. And because you have so many different mounting capabilities, you can attach this camera horizontally, you can attach it vertically on a drone and capture different aspect ratios depending on where you want to post your footage. With the footage that I got from the 3S, with this drone. I actually experimented to use it without any stabilization. I only filmed for a little bit with the stabilization on, which was set to standard, as you have standard, high and off. I pretty much used stabilization off for most of my footage when recording with this FPV drone, as I just wanted to see a little bit of a different side. I didn't really go for that extra smooth look. I really wanted to see if the shakiness that you get from stabilization off can be actually something that you can use when creating FPV footage that can give you a little bit more dramatic feeling, a little bit more action feeling. With super smooth footage, sometimes it looks a little bit too smooth. So I really wanted to see if that's something that I can use on a camera like this. And because the drone flies super smoothly, even with stabilization off, I think the footage is very, very nice. Of course, it is shaky, but like I said, that's the point. If you really want to have a little bit smoother footage, make sure you use stabilization standard or even the high option for the stabilization to capture super smooth footage, which of course this camera is very much capable of doing. And one more thing which I remembered I need to talk about when talking about mounting this camera horizontally or vertically is how you want to capture your footage depending on where you want to post it. And for me, something that I've been doing a lot has been to shoot horizontally, but in the freeform video mode, which captures the whole 1:1 aspect ratio of the sensor of the camera. And that gives you a lot of flexibility to use this 1:1 aspect ratio footage in two different ways. You can crop it for Instagram or TikTok, or you can crop it 16:9 for YouTube. So that gives you a little bit more flexibility to not really think about mounting it horizontally or vertically. You can just mount it however you want and shoot in the freeform video mode, which will capture a square, and then you are free to use this square footage however you like, which I think is a great thing, because nowadays I don't want to shoot everything twice and repurpose it for, you know, different social medias. I want to capture it once and then be ready to use it however I want, which is great for this camera. And finally, I want to talk about the price of the Go 3S, because this is a pretty significant aspect when you are making the decision whether you want to buy this camera or not. So this camera is about $400 plus minus. It really depends on the time period, because prices fluctuate all the time. As a matter of fact, Insta360, I believe, has a massive discount coming this next week. So I'll link it down below. There's a huge discount that they plan to make, so make sure you check it down below. But even with a price tag of about $400, I still believe this is a great purchase, mostly because of the different ways you can capture footage with this, with the fact that you can mount it to pretty much everything you want, and with the fact that it's inconspicuous as hell, and it's not going to bother anyone if you record any footage with this. Even bigger action cameras like GoPro or Osmo Action 4, for example, or the Insta360 One RS, they take up so much more space and they're a lot more in your face when you record with them. Whereas with this, you can just capture footage like this and talk to the camera, and you know, it's all fun and games with this camera, but at the same time it delivers great quality straight out of the camera without any big setting tweaks or, you know, any editing involved whatsoever. So for me, this ease of use is what will attract a lot of the customers towards this camera, and of course the size as well. So it's not really comparable to bigger action cameras, because nowadays they are with big sensors, which of course this camera does not have. But where this really shines is the mounting capabilities and the fact that you can just put it whichever way you want, in whatever you want, and still capture unique angles that obviously are not easy to do with any camera that's bigger than this. And that's pretty much it, guys. I just want to emphasize once again that the Go 3S will be the camera that I will be using the most pretty much in the upcoming months, as I really want to give you a little glimpse of how I do things, how I capture my footage, how I go about my day, and how I do things here on this channel. And with a camera like this will be easier than ever. And I want to mix this content a little bit with the cinematic content and just give you, you know, some behind the scenes footage that showcases what I do on a day-to-day basis without having to involve a secondary person who is filming me. So hopefully this camera will help me do that. So for that, I'm really happy that I have it in my arsenal. I hope you enjoyed this little look of the Go 3S by Insta360. Let me know if you did by clicking on the like button, and drop a comment down below if you have any questions. I would love to help you out. This is Mike from Drone Supremacy. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next video very soon. Ciao.